I'm a huge fan of Days Gone, says Corey. Yeah, dude, me too. I understand why people didn't love it originally. I understand, like, at launch it didn't run that great. I do remember at launch it didn't work great. But dude, I remember this trailer. Do you guys remember this trailer from 2016? This is a throwback, okay? This is a throwback. But this is a 2016 gameplay demo. I still think if you showed this gameplay demo today, people would lose their minds, assuming they had like seen this before. But I still think today this would pop off. Just skip ahead, looting inside the truck. But it's specifically once you get over here and you can hear it.
Look around, brother. You know how this is gonna end.
Even today, that many zombies on screen is pretty crazy. And there's even more over there. And it just gets crazier and crazier. Like, my frustrations with Days Gone were mostly pacing wise. The coolest thing in the game are these hordes, but the hordes, you only really get the tools to fight them later in the game. And I get why, like, you got to go somewhere. You have to have somewhere to go, you know, in a game. You can't start with napalm. But I like, you play half the game and then finally get access to the hordes, and then you start having a really good time. But you kind of had to put up with half the game of just kind of mediocre open world adventuring to get there. But boy, when you get there and you start dealing with this, there's nothing quite like this. Oh God. What a vibe, dude. But I remember at launch, it didn't run that great. And I think that was a big part of why word of mouth wasn't great for it. So I don't think that helped it at all. But, oh, dude, this trailer takes me back. Come on, come on. And then he gets the last ones, and then the camera will pull back. Oh, I'm okay now, right? Everything is gonna be just fine.
Come on. Come on.
It's a vibe. I agree. It should get a sequel. Looks like slop. Someone is looking in the mirror. Oh, looks like the kettle is calling the pot black. Seems like it. Interesting. Space Marine 2 for the hordes. Yeah, Space Marine 2, dude, is also crazy with the hordes. Also that World War Z? They also had some crazy horde mechanics too. But Days Gone was the first game I can remember that had anything like that. It was wild. It was wild. And it really is too bad that they didn't get greenlit for the sequel. I do wonder, because if you don't know, there was a lot of let's say drama with some of the people who were directors on the games and like head of the studio, and they were eventually like, it seemed as though they were pushed out. I don't know if they chose to leave of their own volition or if they were pushed out. I don't know the story well enough, and I won't pretend to, but I do wonder if that maybe had something to do with it as well. I don't know. They absolutely warranted more for that world. Well, and there's just, it kind of writes itself, right? Like after you lay the foundation of the first game and you got out of the way, like the foundational stuff of I guess no spoilers in case somebody wants to play it, but relationship issues and some of the most bare bones stuff in terms of like getting loaded up and equipped with getting your bike back and getting weaponry and stuff. For a sequel, you could just immediately go balls to the walls, and like the hordes are just kind of like a normal occurrence. Like maybe you go into a big city, maybe they go into Portland because it's set in Oregon. You could go into, dude, can you imagine a post-apocalyptic zombie game with hordes set in Portland? There's so much you could do with that. Like, I can just imagine the zombie designs now. But You go into the city, you can have roaming hordes and stuff. And then, you know, you can add in the crazier designs for the sorry, not zombies, freakers. They called them freakers in that game. I remember how kind of awkward. There was one interview I saw where they called them zombies. And one of the like studio guys was like, they're not zombies, they're freakers. And they sat in silence for like an uncomfortable period of time. It was one of those like E3 interviews, like on the show floor. And they were like, is this really? Oh, okay. Like I get that they wanted to distinguish it, but I was like, they're zombies. Come on, man. They're zombies. Corey says, I've referenced that game like 3 times over the last few weeks in creative meetings. Ben team did some amazing work. Well, that's good to hear, at least that their legend can live on. Because I know that they've had a rough go of it. I mean, I'm glad that they're still, at least some of them are still over there. Because clearly they got crazy good talent, but they were working on some live service game. I don't think we ever found anything out about it, but it was supposedly using tech and tools that they built for Days Gone, but it was going to be a live service game. And then they shut that down and greenlit a new live service game that they're working on because they had hired a bunch of like networking guys and they hired a bunch of multiplayer designers. So who knows? I just hope that they can get something out the door, you know? It's just, that's probably the most heartbreaking thing about this generation. It's just the wasted, this makes me sound like such a granola bar, crunchy munchy person, but like the wasted energy, you know, years of talent and work and passion has been poured into so many projects that have just gotten shut down or gutted because they look back and like, actually, never mind. Like, it's crazy. Like, obviously, some games, they just don't come together and you got to cancel them, rework it, go do something else. That happens. But it's been like 5 years of projects like The Last of Us Online, projects like Blue Point's game, Sony Ben's game. I think there was a Bungie game. There's just so many that just get shut down. And maybe they were just trend chasing and then they got, you know, they course corrected. I don't know, but it feels bad to have that much time and that much work just disappear, you know? And maybe we do see the Last of Us Online, for example, in some form eventually, but I don't know. It's just heartbreaking.